Welcome back to Views with Hughes, agenda-free news. This is Jerome Hughes. Now let's go ahead and get right into it. So today we're going to have to address the whole growing anger among, the Disney Star Wars fans, not the George Lucas, the OG Star Wars fans, but the Disney Star Wars fans directly squarely at Kathleen Kennedy over when the Acolyte was canceled by Disney from Kathleen Kennedy. Now, Kathleen Kennedy and her team at Lucasfilm didn't fully understand the hornet's nest when they were stirring up when they decided to cater to a very specific segment of Star Wars fan base. And Kathleen Kennedy likely thought that she could release the Acolyte under Kathleen Kennedy and everything would be smooth sailing. But now that Kathleen Kennedy has pulled the plug on the second season, those fans are absolutely losing it, still losing it to this day. They're doing everything within their power to make noise so that Kathleen Kennedy can cave in and give them what they want. Season 2 of the Acolyte. Now they're going from like petitions to ranting and raving over on social media. And where is this anger at Kathleen Kennedy manifest the most? Of course, social media, but these fans are going after Kathleen Kennedy and the official Star Wars Twitter account with a vengeance, okay? Now, I'm seeing tweets out there like, you're a coward for not protecting Mandela from racist harassment directed right at Kathleen Kennedy and her decisions. And you know what? These fans here aren't just upset, they're furious with Kathleen Kennedy. And every time the official Star Wars Twitter account under the guidance of Kathleen Kennedy posts anything, no matter how trivial, they're bombarded with comments asking, why did you cancel the Acolyte from Kathleen Kennedy? It's clear that Kathleen Kennedy wasn't prepared for this kind of backlash, okay? This level of backlash. And it's also clear that, these unhinged fans aren't going to let Kathleen Kennedy off the hook quietly. But let's just go ahead and take a step back and ask ourselves, what exactly are these fans hoping to achieve with their campaign against Kathleen Kennedy? You know what? And they've actually gone as far as putting together a petition to bring back the Acolyte, as I said, for season 2. And guess what? That petition is starting to gain stream, but with the numbers that they're aiming for, it's not going to get back. And that's escalating. They're supposed to escalate pressure on Kathleen Kennedy, and the media is even picking it up, which only adds fuel to the fire aimed at Kathleen Kennedy. But let's be real. Will it be enough to make Kathleen Kennedy change her mind? Absolutely not, because most likely she's getting these calls from Bob Iger to do so. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The fans under the watchful eye of Kathleen Kennedy aren't just making noise, they're taking action, at least as much action as they can from behind the keyboard. Now, I've seen tweets where people are encouraging others to leave their Acolyte plan on repeat on Disney Plus, even with the sound off, just despite those viewing figures, all in a desperate attempt to get Kathleen Kennedy to notice. But the thing is, that's not going to be enough rewatchability. And one tweet that really caught my eye was from someone who said, I have Disney Plus. If you also and you're not watching anything, just play the Acolyte with the sound down or whatever. Now this was going to play it on repeat, and they think that if they get the stream the Acolyte trending, they can spike the view numbers. Long shot, but it's a shot. Now the tweet alone is sitting at over 20,000 impressions, so these people are literally just leaving the show on all night just to bump up the viewership numbers, hoping to get the attention of Kathleen Kennedy. And don't think that the mainstream media hasn't noticed the backlash against Kathleen Kennedy. Okay, so shill outlet IGN put a headline out that reads, fans of Star Wars The Acolyte have reacted loudly. Reacted loudly how? What are they doing exactly other than hashtagging and posting stuff on social media against Kathleen Kennedy and watching a show on mute, all while Kathleen Kennedy remains silent? Now, that's not exactly the kind of loud reaction that moves mountain people, but hey, they're trying to get Kathleen Kennedy to change her mind. But it's not going to work though. You see, do you really think that the handful of people who watched the Acolyte from Kathleen Kennedy and are now trying to keep it alive by watching it over and over again with the sound off are going to get their show back just because Kathleen Kennedy might see it? Because that's the $1 million question here. Or should I say the $200 million question that Kathleen Kennedy has to answer. Now, the fact of the matter remains here. You see, These fans have even started a petition, as I've stated directly, challenging Kathleen Kennedy's decision. And this is just some sort of small time effort, is like gaining some traction, putting Kathleen Kennedy in a tough spot, or the lack thereof. But let's talk about Paul, the writer for Forbes, that so many people have done videos on before. And you know what? Paul is out here writing "Renew the Acolyte" from Kathleen Kennedy petition crosses 40,000 signatures. Will this help? I can answer that. No, it won't. But this petition is being featured in major outlets like Forbes, and that's no small feat, all while Kathleen Kennedy remains at the center of controversy. Now, the media's out here pushing this petition, trying to get people to sign on and save the show, putting more pressure on Kathleen Kennedy. But again, we have to ask, will it be enough to make Kathleen Kennedy reconsider? Absolutely not. So here's where we stand at as of the recording of this video. The petition is reached over like 59,000 signatures, about to go over 60,000 signatures, and it's probably going to hit 60,000 already. And good on those fans, but they've put in effort, no doubt. But 60,000 signatures aren't enough to save the Acolyte for Kathleen Kennedy, and it's not one that Kathleen Kennedy must be considering. Okay, so Paul even tweeted pointing out, because he makes a point that people aren't ignoring. Someone said, commented, "Dude, they're going to need millions of signatures to convince Disney, LOL." And Paul responded, "I am aware 75,000 signatures is going to cut it. They're going to need millions." And Kathleen Kennedy sure knows this as well. But the fact of the matter is, I applaud their effort, to be honest with you. I really do. But Kathleen Kennedy isn't going to look at 60,000, 75,000 signatures and decide to drop another $200 million on the show that hardly anyone watched in the first place. Now, Kathleen Kennedy knows that it's just not going to happen. But let's go ahead and think back and take a trip on memory lane. Y'all remember Games of Thrones season 8, that petition for that, right? Fans were so outraged by the final season that, you know, they wanted the whole thing remade with competent writers. Now, that petition hit over 1.8 million signatures. And what did HBO do? Nothing. So what do you think Kathleen Kennedy is going to do with 60,000, 75,000 signatures for the Acolyte? Not much at all. But I'll tell you that, and Kathleen Kennedy sure knows it. And let's also not, forget why the Acolyte from Kathleen Kennedy was even canceled in the first place. No one watched it, and Kathleen Kennedy had to make a tough call. The show cost over $630,000 per minute of the screen time, and let that sink in for a minute. That's more than some blockbuster movies, and those movies made all their money back, and then some. But the Acolyte from Kathleen Kennedy itself, I mean, it was a financial black hole, if you ask me, one that Kathleen Kennedy could no longer justify. Now, Lucasfilm under Kathleen Kennedy's leadership has been racking up those losses these past few years, and they're not about to throw more money into a project that's not going to give them a solid return. Now, speaking of losses under Kathleen Kennedy, let's talk about some other Lucasfilm flops. Y'all remember Willow? Of course. They've spent a buttload of cash on that series, and where's it now? Erased from existence. Another failure on Kathleen Kennedy's watch. And what about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? That was a Lucasfilm production, and it's being predicted that the movie lost close to $400 million, okay? But let me ask you all this. How do you lose money on an Indiana Jones film? It should have been a slam dunk, but instead it was a massive financial failure with a bunch of lies by James Mangold adding up to Kathleen Kennedy's list of troubles. And let's not forget about the last few Disney Star Wars movies on Disney Plus under Kathleen Kennedy's guidance. The ratings just kept dropping, and people have been walking away from the franchise, something that Kathleen Kennedy must be all too aware of. And Star Wars isn't just the powerhouse it used to be, not under Kathleen Kennedy's watch. And toy sales, don't even get me started on that. That's merchandise right there. They're not even doing too good either. Another sign that Kathleen Kennedy and her strategy isn't working. Okay, so all that in mind, do you really think that Kathleen Kennedy is going to go ahead and pour another $200 million into a show that's already failed? I don't think so. And Kathleen Kennedy is also smart enough to know that. Now, for everyone who signed the petition, who want to chip in and cover the costs, maybe Kathleen Kennedy and Disney will think about it. But as it stands, all you're getting is a novel to finish out the series, a decision made under Kathleen Kennedy and her leadership. That's it. That's going to be the end of the Acolyte from Kathleen Kennedy. Okay, but people do say that miracles happen every day, right? Maybe something will change and Kathleen Kennedy will probably decide to bring the show back. Now, if there's a season 2, I'd laugh. I really would, but I'm not holding my breath at all. At the end of the day, the Acolyte from Kathleen Kennedy is just another example of a project that couldn't even connect with, a broad enough audience to justify its enormous cost. $200 million, a tough reality that Kathleen Kennedy must face. And that, my friends, is the harsh reality of the entertainment industry under Kathleen Kennedy's leadership. All right. But for now, it just looks like, Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm are content to bet or let the Acolyte from Kathleen Kennedy rest in peace. And who knows, maybe this whole experience will be a wake-up call for Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm. Maybe Kathleen Kennedy will start listening to the broader fan base instead of just catering to a small vocal woke minority. Only time will tell. So what do you all think of this? Do you think this petition will make any difference to Kathleen Kennedy? Will Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm reconsider bringing back the Acolyte for a second season? Or do you think this is just another futile effort by a fan base that refuses to accept reality despite Kathleen Kennedy's decision? Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts you might have on this particular topic. If you enjoyed what I shared in this video, go ahead, smash the like button and share far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already, and you enjoyed all the content that I put out there, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. Click the bell notification so that way you're notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.